Hi, good morning everyone, and welcome to World Menopause Day, 18th of October. I have to be honest, this is the first time in several years I've actually been here in the country for World Menopause Day. Normally I have, over the last couple of years, I've been in Chicago talking about the menopause at a hypnosis conference. So, because nobody is allowed to travel anymore at the moment, I'm at home, so I thought we would have a webinar to celebrate and to teach you ladies a few things and do a little bit of relaxation. So let me just find, there we go. So please feel free to join me on Facebook at Pebbles Hypnotherapy. You can follow along and notice all the little other things that we get up to, or Michelle and I get up to, because Michelle helps me with that sometimes. You can also follow me on Twitter at Helen Breward Hypno, or Pebbles Hypnotherapy. I think any one of those catches me on Twitter. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Helen Breward, and connect with me. It'd be really good. So today we are going to be talking about some basic stuff on the menopause, and that is because when I went through the menopause, when I had a hysterectomy, I suddenly realized that I only actually knew two things about the menopause. One, there'd be no more periods, yay, that was fantastic, and B, I wouldn't be having any more children. And to be fair, in my opinion, I had two perfect children. What more could I want? So not everybody thinks that way. So that's why I always do a little bit of information on the menopause, because you're surprised at how little women actually know, or did back then. You've got to remember, this is a few years ago. We'll be talking a little bit about estrogen and progesterone, some of the symptoms, some of the common triggers, and we'll be doing a little bit of hypnosis at the end, so you can learn how you can awake. Sorry, we've just been joined by the cat. I thought she was tucked up in bed. So you'll be learning how you can help yourself with a little bit of visualization. Come on, out the way, Molly. Sit down. See, it's all girls together this morning. So that's the agenda for today. This is a little bit about me that you may or may not know. I was a former primary school teacher for 13 years. And because of that, I used to teach primary school children from age 5 all the way up to 11 till they left. So I had a very varied day whenever I was teaching. I became a full-time hypnotherapist back in July 2015. That was when I finished working as a primary school teacher and took a massive leap and decided that I was going to do this full-time. And to be fair, I've never looked back, and I've never been happier. I love teaching. I love teaching children. I just didn't like the politics that went with it. That is the centre that I work from in Wiltshire, the Wellbeing Centre, Wood Street Wellbeing. It's one of those really old, quirky little buildings that doesn't have a straight floor or a straight wall in the whole place. And there's I used to work on the bottom floor, but since COVID, the room that I used to use was quite small, and it's too small to take into social distancing into account. So I work on the top floor, and the staircase is not quite a spiral staircase, but it's one step down from that. It sort of spirals like that all the way around. So you've got 2 flights to go up, and it's interesting, shall we say. I think is probably the phrase that I'm looking for at the moment. I also, bearing in mind, I also work over Zoom, and when I can sort out my consulting room at home, I also work from home in Royal Walton Bassett too. Now, the stuff that I'm going to tell you has actually been proven. It's not me making everything up. There was a study done back in 2012 by an American professor called Gary Elkins from the Baylor University. Now, he did a study purely based on using hypnosis for menopausal hot flushes. Now, he discovered that about 70% of the hot flushes that the people on the ladies on the trials had decreased. So it was a massive, massive impact. They also discovered 3 months later that had gone up to 80% of the hot flushes had decreased in intensity. But they'd also realised that some ladies were managing to eliminate some of those hot flushes too. Excuse me, which is really, really good. Now, his I'd like to say his work mirrored mine. Actually, it was the other way round. My work mirrored his because I did mine after him. Oh, excuse me, Molly, you're gonna have to go out. You're making me cough. Right, go. Ooh. Shut the door. Oh, sorry, I do apologise. Sometimes when she comes in, she sets me off coughing, which is not great when you're trying to talk, is it? So I developed this work back in end of 2014, beginning of 2015. And that was purely because I'd been through a hysterectomy myself, which threw me straight into the menopause. It does not help you to skip the menopause. There were some people at the time that said, oh, Helen, you're so lucky, you're going to miss the menopause. I went, no, I'm not. It actually just throws me straight there. What I missed was the run up to the menopause, the perimenopause. That was the bit that I missed. And I decided, I actually had no idea. I had done no research. I just thought that this should be possible. So I decided that I really ought to try this out, to test it, to see if it actually did work. So I gathered together a group of ladies, and very, very quickly by the second session, I began to realize that these ladies were, yes, reducing the intensity of their hot flushes, but they were also eliminating some of them even from the start, from that very first session onwards. So my results were very similar to the ones from the research by Gary Elkins, which is great. So what is the menopause? Well, the menopause, in quite simple terms, is when you cease to become fertile, when you do not have cannot have children anymore. Now, for a lot of us, that is, thank God for that. You know, we don't have all that period stuff, or the pains that can quite often go with that. Well, I'm going to say the mood swings that go with that, but the menopause can bring in its own mood swings. But, you know, I think for me also, I know some people find it difficult, find it hard that they can't have children anymore. And I appreciate that. But I also think it is partly Mother Nature saying, look, love, you've done a cracking job so far. Now it's time for you. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to have time for yourself, because more often than not, we've had children earlier. By the time we get to the menopause, our children are of that age where they can be more independent, and you know, it is time for us to be us again, or to find our new us again. Because, you know, when you have a family, it's quite often that it's almost like we sort of step to the side and, you know, concentrate on the family and the children and bringing them up and all their wants and their needs and everything else. So for me, mentally, it's kind of like Mother Nature going, do you know what, Helen, you've brought children into the world. They are great, awesome human beings. They are still alive. This is your reward. This is time for you to do what you want to do, to be you again. The average age of the menopause is 51. Now that's an average age. Most women will either come before that or slightly after that. There's very few that you will find will get to the age of 51 and suddenly end up in menopause. And that's, you know, I suppose there has to be an average at somewhere along the line. Now, the menopause is, technically speaking, now I know you won't agree, and I don't really agree, but I'm telling you the technicalities. The menopause technically is a 12-month period from the end of your last period to the same day 12 months later. That's your menopause time. After that, you're postmenopause. Now, that's the medical definition. Ladies, and I completely agree with this, do not see it that way. How we talk about it is, I'm in the menopause until my symptoms stop. I think that is a much, I think for us, I think that's a more accurate way of describing it, because post means that you're finished, it's done and over with, you've gone past that. So if you're still having symptoms, then logically in your own brain, well, I'm still in that phase, I haven't gone past it if I'm still having symptoms. And that's the difference between the two. Now, for some people, when you get a hot flush, it can feel like a volcano exploding from the inside. From others, it feels more like a bit of a tropical moment. That's one description I've heard. A warm moment, a bit of unwanted heat, a bit like a radiator being turned right up to full. All those kinds of descriptions. But then again, what happens with that is quite often, if it's a really bad one, you can end up with those rivers of sweat, especially at night time. You're lying in bed and you suddenly, it just comes out of nowhere and you find yourself dripping with sweat. And that's what it feels like. Now, everybody has their own description of how it feels like, because it feels differently for everybody, because we're all so unique. So, you know, your description may be different, but it gives you an idea, if you've not experienced it or you've experienced it differently, of what it will be like. So symptoms then. Symptoms of the menopause vary. Last time I looked, which was probably about 18 months ago, there was 37 different symptoms. So I'm only going to tell you a couple of the more common ones that you're more likely to notice in either in yourself or other people. Again, we've got those hot flushes and the night sweats. Those are the two most common ones that I would say the vast majority of ladies will experience or do experience, which is why they're top of the list. And that's why I focus on those, because those two things affect some of the other things that I'm going to tell you about. So poor sleep will be one of them, but the night sweats are the ones that affect the sleep. If you wake up covered in sweat, you then need to, in very severe cases, you then need to get yourself changed because you're wet. Some people have had to strip the beds and all that kind of thing, so it disturbs your sleep. That will then in turn, if you're not careful, make you irritable, bring on some anxiety if it's long term. If you have irritability and anxiety with the menopause, if you're sleeping okay, then it's a kind of like a symptom in itself, not a knock-on effect from one of the other symptoms like the night sweats, if that makes sense. Some people suffer depression, mood swings. Some people say that they have that should be no periods, actually, not periods. If you do have a period in that time, you then have to reset the clock back to 12 months again. So once they stop. So those are just some of the common ones, but quite a few of those could very well be a knock-on effect of the night sweats or the hot flushes. Okay. So estrogen and progesterone then. So estrogen and progesterone are, well, there's actually three hormones that like sex hormones: estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Now, we have a small amount of testosterone. Men have a big amount of testosterone and a smaller amount of estrogen. Estrogen and progesterone balance each other out. They're a bit like yin and yang. So if they are completely in balance, your body will be in much more balance. Your symptoms will be quite minimal, if at all. So, and this isn't just for the menopause, this is across the board. So estrogen will build up the lining of your womb. Progesterone maintains that lining. estrogen increases the body fat. The progesterone helps the body fat to be used as energy. Okay, you can see how one does one thing and the other one counterbalances it every single time. Sometimes with estrogen, we can find that we have that a bit of depression or headaches, migraines, that kind of thing. Progesterone acts as our natural antidepressant. We can, estrogen lowers the libido, progesterone and testosterone raise the libido. Interestingly enough, we need progesterone to make testosterone. Just a little interesting fact for you to store in the back of your head somewhere. Estrogen, can increase the risk of some female cancers. Progesterone can protect against some of those female cancers. So all the way along the line, there are other things that happen as well with these two, but that's how they sort of balance each other out. Now, what you also need to recognize now, when you go through the menopause, both of them drop down, which is why everything starts to slow down and change. But, and here's the but, progesterone drops a lot quicker than estrogen, so you get that imbalance, which is often referred to as estrogen dominance, or if you want to do it the other way around, low progesterone levels. So that because the progesterone is dropping quicker than the estrogen, you're losing that balance all the time if you're not careful, which is why it's more important to be aware of the foods that you're eating and the actions and the things that you're doing. Now, you cannot eat anything with progesterone in. You have to provide your body with the nutrients so that it can make progesterone. Okay. Now, these are just a few vitamins and minerals that the body needs to make some of those vital things that we need. So for progesterone, it's things like B6, zinc, magnesium. There are more of them. Vitamin C is also a good one for progesterone. It's also good generally, vitamin C, for general menopause symptoms, any of the B vitamins and omega-3. Magnesium is a great one. Nice bubble bath in an evening with Epsom salts, job done. Because magnesium can be absorbed through the skin. So if you have those, you can buy those bags of, sometimes they call it revitalizing stuff. It's the Epsom salts, and it says on it magnesium. You have a nice soak in the bath, relax, absorb some magnesium while you're at it, job done, brilliant. Vitamin C can be obtained through sunflower seeds. They're supposed to be good for hot flushes. Things like almonds, pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds are good for you to eat, just to nibble on. You only need a very small amount to give yourself a boost. There are other things that, don't forget, a lot of this stuff will be in a lot of food that you eat. As long as you are eating fresh fruit and vegetables, you'll find that you're probably getting a good quantity of some of those things that you need. These are some common triggers. Now, a lot of hot flushes will have triggers that you can do something about. So one of the biggest triggers is stress. It is also known as a hormone stealer because the body uses the same nutrients or similar nutrients to make cortisol, your main stress hormone, as it does to make progesterone. So stress being part of the fight or flight mode, and fight or flight is down to survival of the species, that trumps everything. So resources are diverted away to make stress hormone. So your progesterone levels will suffer because of that. Does that make sense? You reduce your stress levels and your hot flushes will start to cool down and disappear. So if you suddenly find that, normally I'm okay, I don't really suffer very much, but they're starting to creep in, you need to have a look at what you're doing, what's going on in your life. Has there a particular stressor going on at the moment? Oh, actually, yes, there is. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, but yeah, there is. So once you're aware of something, it brings it to your mind. Are you rushing around too much? Literally rushing. You know, sometimes when you go, oh my God, I'm going to be late, I've got this and this and this to do, and you literally rush like a lunatic all the way around, or, you know, like a whirling dervish. Those things, again, can bring in a hot flush. So it might be a case of going through your diary, if you have a lot to do and you have a diary, of organising your diary, thinning it out a little bit and reorganising so that you are not rushing around so much. Alcohol is another one. Red wine in particular is quite a bad one. Everybody is different. There are some people that can drink red wine and it doesn't have any effect. Now, that one in particular affects those night sweats, because people tend to drink them in the evening before they go to bed. If you are having a particularly bad night sweat, have a think, am I drinking anything that is alcoholic, even something like baby sham, which is a very old-fashioned drink, and I didn't even know they still made it, but apparently they do. Anything, if you're drinking alcohol and you're having a night sweat, stop the alcohol for a couple of nights, because if it is a trigger, you should know more or less straight away if that's what's setting it off. If it is, then you have the choice. Do I have that alcohol and know that I'm likely to get a night sweat? Or do I go, actually, that's not worth it, and try a different alcohol? Because some people find that they can't drink red wine, but they can drink something like gin. Other people find they can't drink gin, but they can drink something else. Maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to, vodka, or I don't know, I'm just pulling one off the top of my head. Another common one is two hot things, like a hot drink and a hot meal, or a hot shower, a hot cup of coffee, and blow drying your hair at the same time. That is a recipe for a hot flush. So remove the hot drink out of the equation and have it afterwards, once you finish drying your hair, if that's what's happening with you, and you'll find that that should bring that one right down. And also tiredness is another one, getting overtired. That's a bit like burning the candle at both ends. Those are some really common ones. So make sure you're getting enough rest, enough sleep. Once you start working on only those 5 ones, and there's a lot more than that, then you may find, or you should find, that things will start to come back into balance, because you can actually sum up menopause with one word, and that's balance. So if you're having hot flushes and night sweats, then something is out of balance. So you need to just sit back for a little while and just take stock. What is it that's not in balance? Am I stressed? Is there a lot going on? Am I rushing around? Am I drinking coffee? Am I drinking tea? Alcohol? Those 3 things. Caffeine can be another trigger as well, especially coffee. Am I having 2 hot things together? Am I tired? Am I not getting enough rest? And so on, until you work out what it is, because a lot of them will have triggers that you can do something about straight away. So, oh, this lady is an absolute star. She comes with me everywhere, and every now and again I'll text her and say, oh, you've just been in Australia, did you like it? She is one of the ladies that was on the original trial that I ran. She was very extreme to the extreme, and she said to me, oh, I'm going to do you a little video of my progress of how I'm getting on. So if I can get it to play, this was her when she first started. Now, she was that extreme case with night sweats in particular, that was getting up in the middle of the night, changing the bed, having a shower, stripping off because they were so severe. So this is what she said at the beginning. This is at the beginning of her treatment. Hang on.
Hi, I'm making a video diary regarding my hypnotherapy with Helen Brouard. So we're on week 1. I'm having hot flushes during the day, probably 10 to 15, pretty high intensity, strawberry pink, feel as though I could claw my skin off. And also night sweats, waking me up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a night, so I'm properly tired. So I've gone to Helen in absolute desperation. She's given me a CD to play every night, as well as having a hypnotherapy session with her. And also we're looking at triggers to what sets off the hot flushes and the night sweats. So I have high hopes. We're going to give it a couple of weeks, and then I'm going to go back for a second session. So here's hoping.
So that was her when she started off, clawing my skin off, and it was that hot. I've never had before or since had anybody describe their night sweats or their hot flushes as bad as that. And she literally was on her knees when I met her, because she wasn't getting any sleep, and again that affects everything else. So anyway, this is her a little while later. I think this is about 6 weeks later on.
Oh, it's about week 6. I've been working with Helen for about 6 weeks now. I have to say that my hot flushes are reduced in intensity and also reduced in number. So I'm now down to about only 2 or 3 a day. We've really clearly worked out what the triggers are, whether I get anxious, stressed out. So I've had to thin my diary out, so I'm not rushing around to appointments. That's made a huge difference. And the night sweats are much better. So I'm not waking up as much during the night, maybe once or twice, and the intensity is much less. So this has been part of a whole holistic approach that has certainly made a huge difference to my life, and I recommend that anybody else should try it, because it gets to the point where you really just want to rip your skin off, and I got to that point, and I didn't hold out any hope of fixing it, and Helen was very much part of helping me manage those symptoms, and long may it continue.
So that was Alison after 6 weeks, and we continued to work on it and reduce her hot flushes down even more. Her biggest problem, in fact she had 2, her biggest problem was her stress levels, because she was rushing around so much, and the alcohol at night. She used to like red wine, and when I said to her, look, why don't you stop the red wine, she was just, that went down really well. But it was one of her triggers. That was the biggest trigger that was setting off those night sweats that she was having a horrendous time with. So by changing that alcoholic drink from red wine to something else, she discovered that she could still enjoy a tipple, which, you know what, why shouldn't you enjoy a tipple? It just had to be something else that didn't affect her quite so badly. So yeah, she's doing really, really well now. So ladies, any questions before we do a little bit of chime? No? Michelle? No? Barbara? I'm guessing. Any question? Sorry, go
on. I've had hypnosis with you before a couple of times, haven't I? Well, a few times really, and they've always worked absolutely brilliant. But lately, my hot flushes have been coming back again with a vengeance. It's not as bad as what they were before with the soaked sheets and feeling absolutely. It's just still at night I'll get really hot, and as soon as you throw the sheets off, in about 10, maybe 15 minutes later, you get into a real nice sleep, and then I wake up absolutely freezing again. So this is happening probably about 5-6 times a night.
Oh, okay.
But I think I do know what it is. I mean, I'm constantly tired anyway, but I think it's down to a lot of stress that, well, we're all going through, aren't we, at the minute?
We are.
With all this horrible thing going on that there's no end to. So I think a lot of it's down to that. And there's me, you know, I'm having a glass of red wine and I to try and help me sleep, but actually it's not. And there's me drinking 2 mugs of coffee this morning, which I shouldn't be, but it's the only thing at the minute that's keeping me awake.
So are you ticking everything off as I'm saying it then, Michelle?
Yeah. Oh God, that's me.
Oops.
Yeah.
Try a different alcoholic drink. If you want to have a
Yeah.
tipple, try something different.
I'm going to go back on the gin, I think.
I think for a lot of ladies seem to find that gin works quite well. They can drink gin. Everybody's going to be different, but stay away from the red wine and try. How many cups of coffee do you have a day?
I can have well, some days I can actually have as much as about 6, and they're quite a big mug, you know, the Starbucks mug. I'll have a cup of green tea in the morning. I always think, oh, that's a plus, a green tea. But then it's maybe about 2 coffees again, and then until 12 o'clock.
Here's the thing, Michelle, and anybody else that drinks a lot of coffee. The caffeine it can be a trigger, or is a trigger for a lot of people. But also, what you forget with coffee is that it dehydrates you. It's the caffeine that dehydrates you. Dehydration again is another trigger, and that will also feed into your tiredness too. So what you're setting off there is a little bit of a vicious circle. You know, you are drinking coffee to try and keep awake, but actually the caffeine in the coffee is not really stimulating you, it's dehydrating you, and it's making the tiredness worse because you are dehydrated and the brain can't function very well. You're feeling worse, so you're drinking more coffee to try and pep yourself up, but actually all the way along the line it's reducing it down all the time, because your body is more thirsty. When you're thirsty, your body doesn't work so well, you feel tired, you can't process in your mind so well, your brain needs the water to work really well. So it's quite a big vicious circle you got on there.
Yeah, I think I need to knock it on the head. There was a couple of days where I literally stayed off the coffee and I drank water and green tea. And you know, for a couple of days after, I felt great. I felt really wide awake. I slept better, but I think that's probably because I went with a week with hardly any sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it needs to go, definitely. And yeah, I'm just ticking everything off now. It has to go.
If you're having that much coffee though, don't just stop it like that, because you'll get withdrawal. So step it down. You know, those are big mugs, Michelle.
Yeah, they are.
Go for a smaller mug. And cut them off gradually. You know, go for a smaller mug and cut off 1 or 2 to start off with, and then reduce it down. Get down as quickly as you can, but make sure that you know, if you notice you're getting headaches, it may very well be the caffeine withdrawal.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
So
never learn, do we?
Well, do you know what? There's that rebellion though, isn't it? You know, I like a cup of coffee now and again, and sometimes every now and again I go through a phase where they set off a hot flush, and I think, bugger it, I'm still gonna have my blooming coffee because I want it. I like my coffee. You're not depriving me of my coffee.
Yeah, or my red wine, and then this happens.
Yeah, and then you regret it then afterwards, don't you? You know, but it's that knowledge, isn't it? Once you know that, it changes the game, because then the choice is yours. When you are unaware and you don't know, you are not in control. When you do know, you are in control, because you are making that choice.
Yeah,
that makes all the difference.
It does, yeah, definitely.
So yeah, my thoughts are the stress, try to reduce that down as much as you can. It is difficult, and we can have a chat about that later. Sort out the coffee and the red wine. Find some. Go back to your gin, Michelle. I know you have quite a lot of nice speciality gins. So you got a few to choose from. That I do know.
I do.
Okay. Michaela, have you got any questions?
No.
No? Okay. Right, shall we do a little bit of hypnosis then, a little bit of chilling? Yeah? Okay.
Oh, yes.
So Michaela, have you done hypnosis before?
No.
And Barbara, I'm going to assume that you haven't either, so I'm going to just explain it a little bit first. So hypnosis is just a focused trance. It is not something new, it's something as old as the hills. As human beings, we have that natural ability to put ourselves into a focused trance. You know, when you are, as you are both doing right now, you're putting yourselves into a trance because you're focusing in on the computer screen. You blocked other things out around, behind you and around you, and you're just focusing in on that screen. That's a trance. A daydream is a form of trance too. When you're sat reading a book and you're really engrossed because you want to know who the villain is actually, and you think it's so-and-so, but actually it turns out to be the gardener. Oh my God. And you're really focused in and gripped on that thing. Again, that's a trance. It's just when you zoom in and focus in on one thing is a trance. So we use that ability as a hypnotist. I use that ability to guide you in that same process down to a slightly different level to what you would normally take yourself into. When you are relaxed and calm, you learn much easier and much quicker. So when you are relaxed, and you only need to be just a tiny bit more relaxed than you are right now to begin to make those changes internally. Now, what I do is to give you a set of instructions that you follow along with, or just listen to me waffling on. It doesn't really make much difference. As Michelle will attest, sometimes it's like, Helen's waffling again. Well, I'll just go along with her.
We have a lot of waffle, don't we?
Oh, I do. I'm really good at waffling. I must get it from my mother. She used to be great at talking. When I was little, I used to get so embarrassed. We used to, back in the day, you used to get on a bus, all right, because we only had one car, and I think my dad had that. And she used to take me on a bus, and I'd only be about 5 or 6, and she'd stand at the bus stop and talk to strangers, anybody, and I used to be so embarrassed. I'll tell you what, I'm as bad, if not worse, than her. But so I get it from her. I blame my mother. So you follow along with what I ask you to do, because what I'm actually getting you to do is to make those little changes, those little tweaks in your subconscious mind. I can't actually take the lid off your head, have a good old rummage around, pull a few things out, shove a few other things in, make a different connection here, there and everywhere, and stick the lid back on. That would just be so much easier, wouldn't it? Mm. But then, you know, as somebody else pointed out to me the other day, Helen, that sounds like brain surgery. And I went, oh no, that would be really messy, wouldn't it? That would not end well. So by helping you to make those changes and directing you how to make the changes yourself in your subconscious, that's how the changes start to take place. Okay. Now, because of all that, you are always in control. There's only you that can be in control. You know, I can ask you to do things, but whether you actually do them or not is another matter. And that is why it is always you that's in control, not me. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So if you want to follow along, you can do. If you want to just sit back and listen and sort of just watch what goes on, you can equally do that too. Okay. But if you want to take part while we're doing some hypnosis, you need to make sure that you're comfortable. So you're not going to fall off a chair is what I actually mean. Because I really wouldn't like you to bang your head. Oh, see, Michelle's getting a comfy.
Kayla, this is lovely. You really got to try it. It's wonderful.
And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, if you can make sure that you are quite happy where you are, and if that nobody's going to walk in, or if they are, they know they're going to walk in quietly. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to give you some instructions, and the closer you follow those instructions, the more comfortable you begin to feel. Now, you will still be aware that you're in the room. You'll still be aware that I'm rattling on in speaker or whatever, but you'll just feel a little bit more comfortable than you do right now. Okay. And there is no wrong. There just is. Okay. So, Michaela, you can only ever do this right, is what I'm saying. I probably should have said that in the first place, didn't I? Okay, what I'll do, ladies, I will record this part on my phone so that I might set up a Dropbox actually. No, I'll work it out anyway. I might put it on my website. I'll send you a link at some point over the next day or two to the recording so you can listen to it. Okay. Right, done. Right, okay. Oh dear, helps if you've got. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is to just focus on the computer screen, on maybe a mark on the top of your computer screen, and just really focus all your attention on that spot, that place that you're looking at right now. You might notice that there's a shape. You might also notice that there's a colour. You might notice how big it is. And I just want you to focus all your attention on that right now. And while you're focusing your attention on that, just really looking at it, you can notice that lovely cool inward breath and that warmer outward breath. That's it. And this time, I want you to breathe in a lovely cool calmness with that inward breath. And breathe out any unwanted warmth. Again, breathing in that lovely cool calmness. And breathing out any tensions. That's it. I'm going to count to 3 in a minute. When I get to 3, you can allow those eyes to comfortably close. So 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Just feel that lovely coolness, that calmness. Just feel how comfortable those eyes feel. The tensions around your temples can just disappear, can just melt, drift away. And the next lovely cool inward breath, you can breathe in peace and breathe out worry and stress. And as you begin to feel calmer and calmer, you begin to feel all those muscles in your body unwinding and untwisting, relaxing and letting go. As they begin to just unwind and untwist and uncurl, just relaxing and letting go. And that begins to feel nice and comfortable, and those arms begin to feel comfortably heavy, comfortably heavy. And those legs, you can feel that comfortable heaviness beginning to creep into those legs too. Now with your powerful mind, you can scan over your body now. And any areas, any places that are a little tense that you need to just unwind a bit more, I want you to, with your mind, focus in on that spot and just untwist those muscles. You might just get a sense or a feeling of them. You might actually see them in your mind's eye. But however it is for you, just literally untwist them, smooth them out, just like you'd smooth out a wrinkled bed sheet. That's it. Oh, and how nice does that feel as those tensions are easing away now. Easing away. All those stresses just leaving your body. That's it. As you drift down. I'd like you to imagine, or just know, or pretend, or make believe, it's up to you, that you stood at the top of a set of steps, 10 steps that lead down to a wonderful, calming place. With every number that I say, you can go down a step, and with every step you go down, you can feel cooler and calmer, more peaceful. So just step down now onto that first step, step 1, and just allow any thoughts to drift away. That's it. Just drift away. And 2, step 2, so much more comfortable than step 1. And any sounds that you hear, inside or outside, just help you to focus on the sound of my voice and the words that I say. As you continue to drift, and my voice goes with you, as you drift deeper and deeper, down and down. That's it. And 3. Stepping down onto that 3rd step now, which again is even more comfortable than the first one. You can just feel that sense of peace and calm starting to grow and develop within. And 4, any sounds that you hear inside or outside just help you to feel more comfortable, more relaxed, deeper and deeper. And 5, finding yourself halfway through now, and if I'm only halfway relaxed, how much more relaxed am I going to feel? With a sense of curiosity and excitement now, because I can feel even more comfortable than I do right now. And 6, as you continue to drift deeper and deeper, down and down, you get a sense of pleasure, a sense of satisfaction that you can do this so easily. And 7, becoming aware of that comfortable, cool, comfortable place inside. Just like a seed, you can help that to grow and spread. That feeling of cool comfortableness and calmness can spread throughout your whole body now. Any time that you close your eyes and just be, just sit, just listen in the moment, it's kind of like watering the seeds. Any time that you do something just for you, away from work or family, anything, it's just for you. Again, you are watering that seed, helping that calmness and that peace to grow more and more. And 8, allowing any other thoughts now to just continue to drift away as you slowly and surely sink deeper and deeper. And 9, almost there, feeling a lot more peaceful than you did not a moment ago. And 10, stepping down now onto the most wonderful icy landscape. We've had a beautiful snowfall, and you can see that white, crisp snow spread out before you that's been completely untouched, just as it fell. You feel that lovely coolness all around, not too cold, but just right. And as you look at that landscape, that snowy landscape before you, that nobody else has touched, nobody else has run and jumped on or left their paw prints or their footprints. There's that sense of, ooh, I'm the first. You remember those times as a child when you've been faced with the same scene. So you take a breath, that nice cool breath, and then you go and stomp all over the snow, leaving your big, deep footprints. How satisfying is that? How wonderful is that as you hear the crunch of the snow underfoot? You begin to feel like that child again, that 6-year-old you. You might even begin to giggle inside or smile. You gather up some snow now in your hands and make a snowball. You feel that icy cold in your hands. You feel so cool, so light. And as you roll that snowball around and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, your hands are lovely and cool. Your whole body is nice and cool now. as you roll around, and you've got enough for a body. So you roll it into the right place. You go around and you get another ball and you start that off and you roll that around too. When it's just the right size, you pick it up and put it on top of the body. So you've got a snowman. You rummage around and you find all the bits that you need to make it complete. The twigs for arms, the stones for eyes, nose. It feels great. It feels really good. And you notice the snow's falling again. So you just put your hand out and you notice all those little flakes fall into your hand. And as you look at them, you see that your hand's covered in snowflakes, but each one is so individual and so beautiful. How wonderful it is. How cool it is. And you look at your snowman with a deep sense of satisfaction and pride. Yeah, that's a good achievement, that is. And then you remember one of the other things that you used to do, and you flop back onto the snow and move your arms and legs up and down and make those wonderful snow angels. Your whole body feels lovely and cool, inside and outside, nice and cool. That sense of childlike freedom, remembered, regained. And how wonderful it felt, and it feels, to be doing those things. Then, of course, out of nowhere comes a snowball whizzing through the air and lands on your back. Hang on a second. That calls for another snowball to be thrown in return. So you rummage around and you get together another snowball and throw it back. And before long, there's a whole melee of snowballs going here and there, back and forth. Wonderful time. Lots of giggles and falling over in the snow. Wonderful time. Oh, and before long, you come to the end and it's time to go in. You feel so lovely and cool. You can feel that fun inside, that excitement. It's been such a wonderful time, such a wonderful pleasure. Good memories to take with you and to remember. So whenever you feel those little bits of extra warmth, all you've got to do is just remember that lovely snow, that ice feeling, how cool it is, how cold it is in your hands. And just remember, lying down in the snow, making those snow angels, keeping you cool, keeping you calm and relaxed. You can always have a nice cold drink of iced water, just to remind you, just to set that emotion, that lovely cool feeling, melt away any unwanted warmth as you drift along. And you can remain cool and calm now for the rest of the day, into the days that follow, as you remain cool and calm, cool and calm. So now I'm going to prepare to bring you back to the here and now, feeling calm, cool and peaceful. So here we go. 5, 4, feel that energy flooding back in through your body. 3, 2 and 1. Feeling fantastic. You can open your eyes. Well done, ladies. You did really, really well. All of you. You did fantastically well. So I'm really, really pleased with you. How did you find that, Michaela?
Yeah, really, really relaxing. I'm actually quite cold.
Yeah, I am.
I tell you what, when I first started doing this, I don't notice it so much anymore because I think I'm probably used to it. When I first started doing it in the clinic, because it was a small room, when I started doing that, I used to physically feel the temperature of the room drop right down. That was amazing. That used to, oh my God. I think I've got so used to it now, I don't notice it so much. That is interesting when you notice that what you're actually saying affects the physical around you as well as yourself. So yeah, you did really, really well. I think what I'm going to do with this, ladies, I'm going to put it on my website in the shop, which also is the download place. So you can go to if you go to my website, you can go to the shop. The shop is the top bit. If you scroll down a little bit, there's the area underneath where you can get the complimentary audios. So if you just fill the form in, then you can get into there, and I'll put this into there, and then it's easily accessible for everybody. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, I might post the actual recording in there too. I'll have a think about that one. So any questions, ladies?
No, that was lovely. Really enjoyed that.
Very interesting.
Oh, did you like it, Barbara? Oh no, she's not talking.
Oh no,
is it Michaela?
Michaela.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's been very interesting.
Good. I hope you found it useful.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've learned some information today. You've learned a little bit about estrogen and progesterone, some of the common symptoms and triggers, and how you can start using your own imagination to help yourself now. Okay, does that make sense for everybody? Yeah. Oh, hang on. Somebody's asked a question. Yes. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, Barbara says it's good that we can download it for future use. Yeah, I'll make it available in there because it will stay better in there than anywhere else. So we'll put it in there. So you can start using your imagination, because now you've realized how powerful your imagination is. You can start using it in a different way, because we quite often use it in a negative way. So if we turn it around, equally we can use it just as powerfully in a more positive way. Okay. So if you're lying, Michelle, especially if you're having those night sweats, if you imagine that you're doing those snow angels again while you're in bed, because you'll be lying down in bed, it's going to be easier to imagine that you're lying in that lovely big field of snow and just doing those snow angels.
Just slap my husband each time I swing my arm around.
Absolutely.
Stop snoring, stop breathing.
Oh dear.
Well, the day I don't know, it's just the breathing. You want to kill him.
Oh yeah. Now, if you would like, you can get a copy of my book, which has a lot of hints and tips on, or in, I should say, to help you with the menopause. So you can get a copy of that from me. If you get it from me, it's £10 including postage. And I can send it straight out to you. It has lots of stories in there that can help you with the menopause. You can record them for yourself and listen back to them, or you can just read them and they will help you. But there's lots of hints and tips in there. There's a bigger food chart on there to help you as well with those different things. So there's that one. If you would like to have sessions with me, then we can do some sessions for 4 sessions for £195. That is vastly reduced. It would normally be a lot more than that. But if you would like to do that, then just let me know.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So are there any questions, ladies?
No, not from me.
No? Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you ladies on board. I have to say, I have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you.
So please feel free to get in touch with me if you want to just have a chat. Thank you, Barbara. If you want to have a chat, or if there's anything I can do to help you, just please get in touch. I will email out the recordings, the replays and the recording, separate recording, so that you don't have to listen to the whole replay just to get to the end bit, kind of thing. And we'll do that. I'll do that Monday or Tuesday, beginning of next week. Okay.
Great. Thank you. Lovely to meet you, Michaela.
Yes, thank you.
And it's lovely to meet you too, Michaela. So enjoy the rest of your Sundays. Chill.
Oh, I've got a lot to do.
But you can chill along while you're doing that too.
Right.
Michelle, cut the
Yes.
coffee down.
Yeah, do you know, I've just said I'm having no more coffee now. That's it.
Oh, just be careful. Don't do it too quickly, because
No.
you get withdrawal if you
I'll have a weir cup.
smaller cups, so you
Yes.
can reduce it down. You can reduce it down without cutting yourself off completely for a while. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Great,
Have a
thank you.
wonderful day, ladies.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.